Please welcome, from Bemidji's Natural Choice Farmers Market, Rebecca Whiting.
Thank you. Hello, my name is Rebecca Whiting, and I am here on behalf of the Bemidji's Natural Choice Farmers Market, where I serve as the secretary for our board for the last 10 years. My husband Keith and I also operate Dirty Goat Farm and Bakery in Bemidji, Minnesota, where we raise sheep, pigs, dairy cows, chickens, keep a garden, and yes, operate a full bakery through the farmers market. My husband Keith also has a full-time job as a mechanic because, like many family farms, we rely on the extra income to be able to keep going. Small family farms are really my real passion, but we are under assault by the government for decades, and if something doesn't change, that will cause an artificial crisis in the next 20 years or so. The average age of today's farmer is just under 60. Farmland is next to impossible to buy. The price of land has skyrocketed. Between 21 and 22, Minnesota lost over 300 family farms that's closed their doors, never to open again. Today, the cost of grain has increased. The cost of livestock has increased. Last fall, a feeder calf was $150. Right now, it's sitting at between $900 and $1,200. That's just an example of the volatility of the market. The USDA recently mandated a program requiring RFID tags in cattle and bison. And let me ask you this, what will this do to the cost of beef at the grocery store? How many other people here who skip over the beef or pork or chicken because of the cost, and how will that have an effect on cattle producers across the country? Not because because beef has become too expensive for working class people to eat, because the government mandated regulations making an already challenging industry next to impossible for the producer to thrive in. We have major gaps in our farmers markets here in Minnesota, particularly with meat and dairy. There's only one dairy farm left in Beltrami County. To get into the micro dairy business, if I wanted to milk just up to 6 to 8 cows, then I would have to make a substantial financial investment, $500,000 up front. That's what it would cost for me to be able to take cheese to the farmer's market because of regulations and laws in the state. If I want to get a hog processed to be able to take it to sell at a farmer's market, I have to have a wait 6 to 9 months in advance for an appointment, and drive past many butcher shops simply because they don't have the kiss of approval from the Minnesota Department of Agriculture. So 20 years from now, when no new farmers are rising up to take on the challenge of being America's backbone and the older farmers are all retiring and selling off, who will provide the food that we need for this country to keep going? Henry Kissinger said, "Who controls the food controls the people." But the Minnesota Constitution says in Article 13, Section 7, don't take my word for it, go Google this. Any person may sell or peddle the products of the farm or garden occupied and cultivated by him without obtaining a license therefor. According to the Minnesota Constitution, the entire division of the Minnesota Department of Agriculture is unlawful. I'm not arguing what authority that it has. I'm denying that it ever had any to begin with. In 2023, recreational marijuana was made legal. Tell me why smoking a joint has more legal protections than buying raw milk and cheese at the farmer's market. I won't leave you with a problem that I don't already know the answer to. Everybody here that needs to eat, start a garden and learn to cook from scratch. You can do that in an apartment building, a suburban backyard, or an empty urban plot, and there's many of those in Minneapolis. Search out your local growers and producers and incorporate them into your weekly budget. Learn to bake the bread, make the cheese, and grow the tomatoes, and most importantly, support your farmers. And if you're feeling like, whoa, this is actually a lot, that's a lot to learn and a lot to figure out. That's fine. It feels really big. Come and find me. Let's get local classes all over Minnesota to start creating an environment in the home of independence and self-sufficiency. I am a homeschooling mom of 14 people in my family. I was not raised on a farm. I learned everything I know now through books and old-fashioned trial and error. But now, 12 years into a farm and bakery business, I can share with everyone the lessons that I have learned and that I learned through the hard way. But that's how we overcome this artificial and completely preventable crisis the government has knowingly created that is coming. The gateway to liberty is directly connected to the individual's ability to provide and produce for themselves and their community without interference. Those rights that have been knowingly trampled on by the current regime to control and restrict people. Let's not make ourselves easy targets and take back the futures starting today. We have the next 6 months to plan for a garden before spring, so I need everybody to get to work.